Hey folks, today we're going to look at a new Atlavox Meshtastic radio. This has got some interesting features, so let's get to it. All right, so Atlavox has come out with a new radio. As you may recall, I've reviewed a solar node that they have that I actually use to run a BBS system, a Meshtastic BBS system at Huntsville. And they've since come out with a new handheld device, and I bought one so we can check it out. So let's go ahead and switch to the other camera view here. And let's check this guy out. So first of all, great packaging as we've seen before. Here we've got, let's see, a cable, a Allen key, and some additional screws for the whiz block. Cool. All right. Now, I don't like to do unboxings generally, but these guys do such a neat job with their packaging. I think it's worth taking a look. All right, let's see what we've got here. We've got a little insert that looks like it has been printed with a stamp, as we've seen in the solar node, and we have a couple QR codes here to get to some assembly instructions, as well as some instruction on Meshtastic itself. It's also nice that he makes the pin very obvious for us here. Very cool. All right, let me set this aside. And let's check this out. Okay. Very thoughtful. Attach antenna before powering on. You don't want to cause a problem. This is a heavy paper that is certainly going to give you as much protection as any plastic will. So very neat way to package this in an eco-friendly way. Nice job, guys. I purchased the option, and it is an option, for the standard WizBlock antenna. Where is that little bugger? There it is. Let's see what else we've got here. Just throw these things out. We've got the screws. We've got a cable. Seems like a decent USB-C cable. And a little Allen wrench. All right. Now, when you purchase this, you have the option to either get the standard WizBlock starter kit antenna, or you can get what they call the Atlavox antenna, and that is a higher gain type antenna that's going to give you a better reach. Now, for my use and purposes, I intend to use this in our group outings where generally everyone's in close proximity, so I don't need the extra length and potential hassle of a longer antenna. Not to mention, with the solar node I purchased, I got the long Atlavox antenna, so I can try that in place of this WizBlock antenna to see what I think. My first impressions are, this feels really good in the hand. This feels like a great print, really well done. And currently, this case is printed using two materials. The bottom part of the case is a PETG material, which will do well in lots of heat, which is something I'm really interested in, being here in Texas. And this version of the device comes with a PLA top portion of the case. And I'd reached out to Atlavox. I reached out to Matt and asked him about whether or not he could make available a full PET-G case. For those of us in more extreme weather climates, having that PET-G full case would be important. And he was great. He jumped on a chat that's available through his website. He actually answered it himself. It was fantastic. It was in the evening earlier this week, and talked a little bit about it. And he checked his supplier and he said, "Hey, I can get that same green color," which is a nice color palette here, the black and the forest green. He says, "I can get that same color in PET-G. So let me get some of that on order, and I'll let you know whenever I've got one of those new tops to the cases available." So fantastic customer service. You can't ask for anything more than that. That was just awesome. Now, this is a WizBlock based radio. So we do have the USB-C. Let's see if you guys can see that. It's kind of difficult here. There we go. That's a USB-C port, as you would expect in a WizBlock. It's also got an interesting feature here that we'll get into a little bit more. But we also have a real on-off switch up on top here. All right, I just made some camera adjustments so you guys can hopefully see some of this detail just a little bit better. There you're able to see the on-off switch on the top of the device, and it's thoughtfully recessed below these points that are designed to allow you to tether the device in one fashion or another to something. And then here, of course, you can see there is USB-C charging capability right there, charging and programming. All right, so I'm going to open this thing up so we can look at this feature just a little bit more, but also because I have purchased a GPS board for this device because it does not come with one in its default configuration. This is the RAC 12500 12500, and it does come with the GPS unit as well as an antenna there. So let's go ahead and get into this guy and take a look at what it looks like on the inside. Now, Atlavox made some design choices here that we don't often see in other 3D printed cases. One of those design choices, and this was a purposeful design choice. I guess if it's a design choice, that it is purposeful, but this wasn't by accident, and this is a feature of the case. Many of these 3D printed Meshtastic devices, they come with a 3-part case. So there's a carrier that holds the radio itself, and then there's a top portion and a bottom portion. And so when you're tearing those things apart or opening them up, it can be a little bit of a challenge because you've got those 3 pieces that can kind of fall apart on you as you're taking out the screws for it. And so this was designed so that you could open it up and everything kind of stays in the bottom of the case. And I think that was specifically thought through because of the indexing capability that's unique to this case. Okay, there it is. And what I mean by the indexing capability is this set of squares, they're almost like dice, that allow you to identify units, up to 36 of them, right? We've got a 6-sided character die and a 6-sided numeric die. So you can, if you're managing a fleet of these, you can identify them very easily. So I'm going to put this back in as A1, but that's not really why I did open this. I'm more interested in adding the GPS unit. All right, let's take a look in here. We've got the WizBlock core, which gives us the 915 megahertz. And we've got space for options, right? Who doesn't love options? And here we've got that WizBlock GPS device. We've got the antenna. This is why these extra screws are provided, right? We've got the Wiz connector here. This is this very fine, let me see if I can get that visible to you guys. It's I think there's like a 24 pin and a 40 pin, if I'm not mistaken, something similar to that. Connectors that are called the Wiz block or the Wiz connectors. And that is going to tie in to the board right here. And then there's a space, there's a little space to screw that down. And that's why these screws here are provided. You can see the battery that is tucked back in there. Yeah, it's a nice, clean implementation. Here's your on-off switch. It's very sturdy in there, right? There's a separate board that slides into a slot, so that does not flop around. We've also got a slot up here for this antenna. Let's see, how will this guy fit in there? This looks like a piece of tape. Yeah, sure is. This is actually designed to put this facing upward. I'm just going to leave that little piece of tape on there. I'm going to slide that into the slot, and it slides in far enough. Hope you guys can see that. It slides in far enough that you're not going to have to worry about it hitting anything. So that's pretty cool. And then I've got my, let me get the right screw for this. I've not added any accessories to a WizBlock before, so this is new for me. Let me just dump these out real quick. Looks like I've got a couple sizes of screws. Let's see, I've got my iFixit screwdriver set here. And let's see if I can identify. Ooh, that thing is tiny. Let's see what we've got here. Luckily, this kit comes with tiny bits. All right, there's one that fits. Good enough. And this WizBlock connector should line right up here. I wonder, I wonder if I'm putting that in the wrong slot. That looks to maybe be the smaller slot. How about that? Well, let's see if it fits over here. Oh, that's easy. Look at that. Boom, pops right in. Well, there you have it. The WizBlock Wiz connector is dummy proof. It won't let you put the board in the wrong connector. Fantastic. All right. Let's go ahead and screw this guy in. I don't think it needs to be super tight. That snapped in nicely. Hopefully the microphone picked that up. I'm going to try a different bit here, maybe one just a little bit larger. See if I can get just a little better bite on that screw. No, I think that's good enough. We always get ourselves in trouble when we overdo it. Okay. So now I'm going to try to route this in a fashion that's going to stay out of the way. Let's see what that might be. I think it's going to be this way. And let's see if I can get this little IPX connector to line up. Yeah, these are buggers. Okay, come on. I'm going to turn that a little bit past where I want it to stay. Like I said, it's a little stiff. There we go. Just took a little bit of finesse. All right. I can spin that now and kind of get it to lay in here and tuck in just a bit. I'm just going to leave that little tag on there. And there you have it. So GPS expansion board added to the WizBlock. Antenna plugged in and slotted in the case. And this feels really nice. It's just super solid. You can see the thickness of the case. This feels like a very rugged case. This is going to stand up. And here you can see you've got these molded in screw keepers. And what do we got here? Just a little bit of foam, I guess, to help keep that that battery from moving around too much. So with that, I'm going to spin that antenna connector or that IPX connector around a little bit, just so I can keep this this stanchion right here with this foam on it from pressing against a cable and causing me a problem. It's designed to press against the battery and help hold it in place. And here I just want to show you guys how well this fits together. That's just such a nice fit. All right, while I've got this out, let me use this to put the case back together. That isn't going to work. Let me hold this up so that camera doesn't shake quite as much. In this overhead shot, I've got another camera that's on a mount that's mounted or secured to my desk. So if I wiggle around, it's going to wiggle the camera around. Sorry about that, folks. All right, let's go ahead and get this put back together. Man, I tell you, we are starting to see just some great Meshtastic devices come out. Sure, you've got the ability to print your own cases, put all this stuff together, and that's great for a lot of folks. Some people really enjoy doing that. Some people not so much. Some people, they just want to get a device and have it work. And so it's nice that we have options. All right, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on now. Just looking for a little light. There we go. So we can see that it is indeed coming on. And I want to make sure that GPS is registering in the app. And I'm talking about the Meshtastic app. But here we can see it's named M1, which is the model number. A1 is the index that is currently configured. Now that's just manually set, but again, it gives you a way to keep your radios straight. We can see it's the rack processor. We can see it's configured as a client. I'm just waiting to see if and I may not be able to pick up the GPS here in the house, but I may need to take this outside just to verify that the GPS is working. Let's take a quick peek here at the Atlavox website so I can show you guys your options if you're looking to pick one of these up. All right, so first of all, you can buy the full radio. When you're buying the full radio, you have the option of picking up the Atlavox antenna or the WizBlock antenna. And you can see that does have an impact on your price. With the WizBlock antenna, you're at $79, and just a few dollars more if you want the longer, taller antenna with just a bit more gain. Okay, really depends on your use case, what antennas you may already have in your arsenal. But if you are just looking to build up your own, you can buy the case, and you can see the case does include the switch, which is nice, and you can either purchase it with the Atlavox antenna or no antenna. So you have a couple options there. Now I see that Matt is running low on some inventory right now. So if you folks are interested in these, grab one now or wait until he gets another batch ready. Yeah, great little device. Here he's got some great pictures. There we go. That's the switch that I mentioned. Here are the indexing dice. You can put a lanyard on here. You can put a strap around here. This is what I'm going to try. I'm going to attach this to some of the MOLLE webbing on my Eberly stock switchblade backpack and see how that rides. Here we go, just showing some of the internals. There's the slot where you can add that GPS antenna. Good shot of the power switch. A textured grip. It does have a little bit of a texture to it. It's smooth on the edges, but the faces have a little bit of textured, and then they have these grooves. It certainly feels good in the hand. There you got a shot of the dimensions. You know, essentially It's almost the same size as the ICOM ID50 if you guys want to get a sense of how big this device is. And then, of course, it is USB-C for charging and for updating the firmware. Yeah, and here you guys can see it really kind of fits in your hand just like an HT. And for those of you that are familiar with the ID50, which is a little smaller than the ID52, it fits right in your hand. It is a very similar size and form factor to the ID50. All right, folks. Well, there you go. Another great Meshtastic option. Look, this comes from a company that is US based, that obviously cares about what they're doing. They put a lot of effort into their products, and I'm really appreciative of that. And certainly this is the type of company I want to support. So if you guys are looking for a plug and play Meshtastic radio or a great case for a WizBlock starter kit that you want to build up yourself, take a look at this Atlavox M1. I think it would suit your needs. Okay, folks, until next time, 7-3.